If your front door breaks Feng Shui rules, your wealth doesn't even get a chance to enter. You could be blocking money, energy, every single day, just by how your door looks, smells, and greets energy. This is not just design, this is money. This is Feng Shui. Most people think money flows from work, but in Feng Shui, money first flows through your front door. Every time you open it, energy walks in or gets pushed away. Your front door isn't just how people see your home. It's how the universe sees your readiness to receive. Messy shoes, a trash can, a wrong color, one wrong mirror, and suddenly, wealth turns away. If you've been feeling like money stops before it reaches you, if life feels like it almost flows, then blocks again, this isn't random. It might be your door. This is part of the Everyday Feng Shui series, where we fix real spaces to bring back real flow. The first thing energy steps on are your shoes. In Feng Shui, the entryway is called the mouth of Qi. And if the first thing Qi meets is clutter and souls, you're feeding it chaos, not fortune. A lot of people don't realize this, but the way we treat our entryway tells energy how to treat us. And when shoes are scattered all over the place, messy, mismatched, piled up right by the door, it sends one message: don't bother coming in. In Feng Shui, the front door is how Qi, life energy, enters your home and your life. But when that space is filled with dirt, rubber soles, and visual clutter, it blocks that energy from flowing smoothly. You're basically saying, hey money, hey opportunities, wait out there while I deal with this mess. Some homes have shoes stacked 2 rows deep. Others leave them right in front of the threshold, so the door literally bumps into them. And over time, it adds up. That stagnant pile of shoes becomes a symbol of stagnant energy. It might sound small, but in Feng Shui, small blocks become big patterns. Maybe you don't notice it right away, but over time, something feels off. Coming home feels heavier than it should. There's a tiny weight in your chest you can't explain. Guests pause at the door. Some look down, some hesitate, and strangely, opportunities seem to stall just before they reach you. You send that application. You wait for the call, but it never comes. It's like the good things in life keep circling, but never find a clear way in. The fix here doesn't have to be expensive. It just needs to be intentional. Start by giving your shoes a home. Not a pile, not a corner, a proper, designated space. If you have room, a closed shoe cabinet works beautifully. It keeps the visual noise out and lets energy flow without hitting obstacles. No cabinet? Try using a soft curtain to hide the shoes. Or shift the rack slightly to the side so it doesn't sit directly in front of the door. The rule is simple. Keep the entry path clear, clean, and quiet. Only 1 or 2 pairs outside at a time, the ones you use daily. The rest, tucked away. You're not just organizing clutter. You're opening a path for energy, for money, for good news to come in smoothly. There's this client I worked with last year, a yoga teacher living in Pasadena, super mindful, grounded. But when I visited her home, the first thing I saw was this cluttered pile of shoes right by the front door. 6 pairs, all different directions. Hiking boots, flats, sandals, some half on the mat, some not. She said it didn't really bother her. It's just how things landed after a long day. But her energy? She'd been feeling stuck for months. Classes weren't filling. She felt invisible online, even though she posted consistently. We didn't change anything drastic, Just move the shoes. We cleared the doorway, added a closed bench with storage, and reminded the space. This is where energy enters. Let it walk in clearly. 3 days later, she sent a voice message. You're not going to believe this. 2 new private clients reached out this week. Out of nowhere. Like, I didn't do anything different. She laughed. I guess Chi doesn't like tripping over boots. That's the power of a clear path. When you invite energy in with intention, it brings gifts with it. Clear the entrance, and wealth knows where to go. But what if what greets your money energy is a trash can? Would you greet abundance with garbage? In Feng Shui, the front door is the first filter of energy. If the first thing your home says is, trash lives here, then chi and money might just turn around. A lot of us put the trash can near the front door without even thinking about it. It's just convenient, right? You come home, toss out a receipt, a coffee cup, some takeout leftovers. It makes sense logistically. But here's the problem. In Feng Shui, the front door is sacred. It's not just how you enter the house. It's how energy enters your life. And when the very first thing that greets that energy is a trash can, even if it's clean, even if it's closed, it sends the wrong signal. Trash represents rejection, letting go, what's no longer wanted. So without meaning to, you're telling money, opportunities, even relationships, there's no space for you here. It's not about superstition. It's about how we train energy to treat us, by how we treat our space. You might not see a dramatic change overnight, but little things begin to feel off. Money doesn't stay. Plans fall through. People cancel last minute, or just don't show. There's a lingering feeling like you're trying, you're showing up, but something always gets thrown out before it lands. It's subtle, but it wears on you. Like abundance keeps almost reaching you, then deciding it's not worth staying. Fixing this doesn't mean redesigning your whole house. It's about being intentional, with small changes that shift the feel of your space. First, move the trash can away from the front door. Even just a few feet makes a difference. It doesn't need to be far. It just needs to stop being the first thing energy sees. If you can't move it because of layout, try using a plant, a bamboo divider, or even a small shelf to create a visual break. The goal isn't to hide reality. It's to create a better first impression for energy and for yourself. And always keep the lid closed. An open trash can, even if it's half empty, still speaks of unfinished business. You want your entryway to say, this home is ready to receive, not to discard. When you shift that message, you shift what shows up at your door. I once worked with a woman in Portland. She lived in a small studio, cozy, minimal, but practical. Right by the entrance, tucked behind the door, was a tall silver trash bin. It's the only place it fits, she told me, and I get it. Small spaces come with compromises. But she'd been telling me about this strange cycle. Money would come in, and somehow always slip away. Clients would say yes, then ghost. Opportunities felt so close, but never landed. I asked her to try one small shift. Move the bin just a few feet over. We added a soft bamboo screen between it and the door. That's it. 2 weeks later, she texted me, all caps. The company that ghosted me 6 months ago just called back. They wanted her for a full freelance contract. She laughed and said, maybe now I'm not throwing out my own chances. Once the visual clutter left, the energy around her shifted. She felt lighter coming home. Conversations flowed better. And slowly, things started sticking around. Not everything. but just enough to feel like something had opened. When the first thing your home says is welcome, wealth stays for tea. But what if the first thing energy sees is itself, bouncing back out the door? If your mirror reflects the front door, it might be bouncing wealth right back out. In Feng Shui, mirrors aren't just decoration, they're energy multipliers. But when they face the front door, they don't double the good. They push it away. It's like money knocks, sees its own reflection, and walks right back out. A lot of people hang mirrors near the front door to make the space feel bigger, especially in apartments or narrow entryways. It's a common interior design trick. And to be honest, it does look nice. The light bounces around, the hallway feels more open, so it seems harmless. But here's what most people don't realize. When a mirror directly faces your front door, it reflects energy away. In Feng Shui, the front door is the main way energy, especially wealth energy, enters your home. And when a mirror is placed right across from it, it creates a kind of energetic pushback. It's like the energy comes to visit, but sees itself in the mirror and leaves before it fully arrives. So while your home might look brighter, it can quietly become a place where money, luck, and good news can't settle in. And the tricky part is, it's such a beautiful setup that most people never question it. Over time, you might notice this quiet pattern. Good things keep reaching the doorstep, but never fully arrive. You get offers, but they fall through. You meet people, but the connection doesn't last. It feels like life is mirroring you back instead of moving forward. You're not losing because of lack of effort. You're losing because energy can't stay. The good news is, this one's fixable. You don't have to throw away your mirror. You just need to shift the way it interacts with the energy at your front door. First, stand at your doorway, open the door, and look straight ahead. If you can see the mirror reflecting right back at you, that's where the energy bounce happens. The easiest fix? Move the mirror. Shift it to a side wall, or even into another room where it reflects something calming, like a plant or soft lighting. But if moving it isn't practical, don't worry. There are gentle ways to redirect energy without remodeling. You can place a tall plant, a soft standing screen, or even a piece of artwork between the door and the mirror. Something that breaks the direct line of reflection and softens the pushback. Even placing a rug with flowing patterns at the threshold can help guide energy in, rather than letting it bounce away. It's not about making the mirror disappear. It's about helping energy feel welcome to stay. I worked with a woman in Chicago. She's a freelance graphic designer. Lived alone in a beautiful apartment just outside Logan Square. Her entryway had this long, narrow hallway, and right at the end of it, opposite the front door, was a big mirror. One of those vintage gold-framed ones. Looked amazing in photos. She said she liked it because it made the space feel alive. But the more we talked, the more she opened up. She felt like her life was full of movement, but nothing ever settled. Clients came in, but rarely returned. She'd get exciting opportunities, and then they'd vanish last minute. When I asked about her front door, we both stood there. And right away we saw it. The door opened straight into that mirror. I never thought about that, she said. It just looked pretty. I suggested she shift it, just a few feet to the side. We replaced its spot with a tall snake plant and a warm-toned canvas print. A month later, she texted me. So, one of my old clients emailed me out of nowhere. They want to rehire me, but this time on a 12-month retainer. And then she wrote, I guess I stopped reflecting them away. Once the mirror shifted, her space felt more grounded. Conversations lingered longer. Inquiries turned into actual payments. The difference wasn't loud, but it was steady. It was like life had finally found the front door and decided to stay for a while. Let the mirror reflect your glow, not your luck walking away. But what if the door itself is sending the wrong signal before anything even enters? Your front door's color speaks before you ever say a word. In Feng Shui, color isn't just style, it's frequency. If your front door color clashes with the energy of your space or your own element, then prosperity might get confused. And when energy can't recognize you, it doesn't come in. Choosing a front door color usually comes down to two things: what we like and what we think looks good from the street. Maybe we saw it in a magazine, or the house next door had it, or it was the only shade left at the hardware store. It feels like a small decision. But in Feng Shui, color isn't just style, it's signal. Every direction holds a specific type of energy. North flows with water. South burns with fire. East grows with wood. West settles with metal. And each of these responds to color differently. So when the color of your door clashes with the energy of the direction it faces, it creates confusion. Instead of saying, "Welcome," your door says, "I'm not sure who lives here." And that confusion shows up in real life. Missed calls, blocked timing, opportunities that pass you by, not because you weren't ready, but because the energy couldn't quite find you. You might find yourself doing all the right things, showing up, applying, working hard, but still being overlooked. People forget your name. Emails don't get replies. Projects fall flat, not because they're bad, but because something about your energy isn't getting picked up. And weirdly, you start feeling invisible in your own home. The first step is simple. Find out what direction your front door faces. You don't need a compass app. Just notice where the sun rises or sets in relation to your door, or check a basic map on your phone. Once you know the direction, you can choose a color that supports that energy, not fights it. In Feng Shui, it's less about trends, more about flow. A north-facing door loves deep blues and blacks, colors of the water element. A south-facing door feels strongest with reds and oranges, fire tones. An east-facing door does best with greens and woodsy shades. A west-facing door harmonizes with whites, grays, or soft metallics. But if repainting the door feels too much right now, don't stress. You can layer energy through accents. Try adding a welcome mat, potted plant, or decorative object that carries the support of color. Even a simple wreath or house numbers in the right tone can shift the vibe. The point isn't perfection, it's alignment. You're simply telling the universe, "Here I am. This is me. I'm open to receive." I remember working with a client in Atlanta, a high school teacher who just bought her first townhouse. She had great energy, super sharp, grounded, generous. But something was off. She said, "I'm showing up, I'm doing the work, but people just overlook me." Her front door was a cool, matte gray, modern, minimal, very Pinterest-worthy. But her home faced east. And in Feng Shui, east is wood energy. Gray belongs to metal, and metal cuts wood. That little mismatch had been sending the wrong signal. I told her she didn't need to repaint if she wasn't ready. So instead, she added small touches. A bamboo welcome mat, greenhouse numbers, and a little wooden wreath she found at a flea market. It wasn't a big change, but it was intentional. 3 weeks later, she messaged me. I got offered a summer leadership position. I didn't apply. They reached out to me. Then she added, I guess my door finally let them see me. After she adjusted the energy at her door, it wasn't like everything suddenly became perfect, but something subtle shifted. People started remembering her name. Emails got answered faster. She felt more present in her own life, like she wasn't being skipped anymore. It was quiet, but steady. And sometimes, that's what Feng Shui really gives us. Not fireworks, but flow that finally moves in the right direction. The right color doesn't just match the walls, it matches your calling. But there's one more thing. Something small, sharp, and often left out in the open. Let's talk about knives. Knives left out in the open don't just cut onions. They can slice through your peace and your wealth. In Feng Shui, sharp objects carry cutting energy, especially knives. And when they're left visible, pointing outward, facing the door, or aimed toward where you sit or walk, they don't just create discomfort. They send a silent signal to prosperity. This space isn't safe. In a lot of modern kitchens, knives are left out on display. A magnetic strip on the wall, a block on the counter, sometimes even just laid on a cutting board, waiting for the next use. And it makes sense, right? It's convenient, clean, even looks a bit chef-like. But in Feng Shui, this small detail can quietly disturb the entire energy of your space. Knives are more than tools. They're symbols of sharp, cutting energy. When they're left out in the open, especially when the blades are pointing outward, toward the door, toward where people walk, or even toward the stove, that sharpness doesn't stay in the kitchen. It cuts through your energy field. Over time, it builds a sense of tension. Not always dramatic, but enough to make you feel like something's always off, like you're guarded in your own home. And if your space feels sharp, prosperity tends to stay away. You may find yourself more irritable, tired even after sleeping, or snapping over small things like bills, groceries, unexpected delays. Money doesn't just disappear. It slowly bleeds away, and you don't realize it's connected until you soften the space, and things finally ease up. The fix for this isn't complicated, but it can make a surprisingly deep shift. First, take a moment to look around your kitchen. Are the knives out in plain view? Are the blades pointing toward the walkway, the stove, or even the front door? If yes, gently change that. The easiest step is to store knives inside a drawer, lined with a soft divider so they're safe and quiet. No drawer space? That's okay. Use a knife block that turns the blades inward, away from open space. Or rotate your magnetic strip to a less exposed wall, where the sharpness isn't aimed directly at the heart of your home. You can also balance the energy by placing something soft nearby, like a bowl of fresh fruit, a wooden cutting board, or a small leafy plant. These natural elements help absorb tension and create a sense of peace around the workspace. You're not just tucking away a few tools. You're reshaping the energy of your kitchen, turning it from sharp and alert into calm and welcoming. And prosperity always prefers a soft landing. I'll be honest with you. I used to keep my knives out too. I had them all lined up on this magnetic strip. Sharp, clean, easy to grab. It felt efficient, but there was something weird about the energy in my kitchen. I never really relaxed in there. I'd find myself standing, not sitting. Cooking felt rushed, and every time I walked past that row of blades, it felt like something was watching me. I didn't connect it to money at first, but around that time, my freelance work got really unstable. Clients backing out, projects falling through last minute. One night I just quietly put all the knives away, into a drawer, No big ritual. And I swear, within 2 weeks, I got 2 new bookings from people I hadn't heard from in months. The energy softened. I didn't feel on edge in my own kitchen anymore. Sometimes, it's not about what we see, it's about what we feel. When sharp things are no longer aimed at us. Once the sharpness left her space, her energy softened. Not just in how she moved, but how money moved with her. Deals flowed smoother. Communication felt clearer. And her home finally felt safe again. Because when the energy doesn't have to guard itself, it stays longer. Tuck away the blades, and your blessings stop bleeding. Now that the entry is clear, the energy is soft, and the path is open, let's bring your prosperity flow fully back home. If your front door has been feeling a little off, like good things reach your life, but don't quite stay, there are small shifts you can make starting today. Begin by clearing the shoes from the doorway. Let that path be open, clean, and welcoming. It's the first message your home sends to energy, and it should say, "Come in." Then look at the trash. If it's too close to the door, shift it a few steps away. Even a small distance makes space for good energy to settle instead of being pushed out. Next, check for mirrors. If one faces the front door, soften its message. Move it if you can. If not, place a tall plant, a calming object, or simply tilt it. You're not just adjusting furniture, you're guiding energy to stay. And finally, look at the color of your door. Not for style, but for alignment. Ask, does this color support the direction it faces? If it doesn't, you can layer in small touches, a mat, a wreath, a potted plant in the right tone. These aren't makeovers, they're messages. And when your home speaks in harmony, money listens differently. Your front door doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to feel like a place you'd want to walk into, if you were opportunity. Because that's what money is in Feng Shui. A kind of visitor, curious, sensitive, looking for the right signal. And when the energy at your door is soft, aligned, and open, money stays a little longer. So, if something in this video made you pause, or look around your space differently, tell me in the comments, what's the first thing your front door says about you? And if you're ready to go deeper, the next video in this series will take you right into the bedroom and show you how your bed might be blocking wealth in ways you'd never expect.